Welcome to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast, your podcast for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Sean Chavarella, Stephen Clary, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Welcome to another episode of Spare Parts. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Taylor.
Friends, how are you doing this week?
Fantastic.
Oh, fantastic.
That's...
Sure, I don't know. Just trying to mix it up.
Anything happen?
No, just trying to mix it up and get some posy vibes for the rest of the week.
He's that desperate.
Okay.
He's just gonna...
Exactly.
He's gonna fake it so that the universe gives it back to him?
Fake it till you make it.
Sure.
What goes around comes around.
So I'm gonna fake that, like, I actually know motorsports and stuff, so let's talk that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a couple stuff I guess we're going to go over today's episode to start the news and go over what we missed in last week. And then, this episode, we're going to be focusing on racing movies. And I think the way we're going to do this is talk about our favorite ones and then try to come to a consensus ranking of top 5, top 10, top 8. I don't know. Something like that.
Sure.
So, friends, racing news, anything you want to talk about? First thing off your mind?
Well, we had more car launches, so
yes,
yay.
We have 3 actually, right?
Yes. So far we've got 4 of the 10. Well, 4 of the 10?
We haven't talked about 3 because 3 happened in between last episode to now.
Oh, yes. Okay, I think I was forgetting Alfa Romeo. I guess it's kind of saying something.
Ouch.
Oh,
I guess we can start with Alfa Romeo that was launched today. Because we're not going to get into the full details. We'll save that for a future episode once they're all launched.
Rank them all.
Yep. Just give a quick one word or one, I don't know, noise. Like my noise for Alfa Romeo. Meh.
Yeah. Sticking with the Alfa Romeo.
yes.
I was disappointed by this one, to be honest, but
Yeah, I think mine was O.
yeah, I think that's fair.
I guess a little different will be fine. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't love it.
If we're gonna go also into the making jokes about it category, I will say we've seen Mercedes go dark side with the black on their car. I guess this is the Alfa Romeo version. So at this point, is Bottas Darth Vader?
Sure.
Ooh.
Maybe, or he's just
Oh,
maybe he's a Sith.
No. I was gonna say, what about Darth Maul? That fits the color scheme.
I like it. That's a good one. Yes, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it struck me as very Ferrari.
Yes.
Like, very Ferrari. And I was like, this is not an Alfa Romeo. Like, it just, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have so much to actually really dive in and rip it apart. But I'm really not going to, because I'm going to save that for our future.
No, save it. Exactly.
Yeah.
What you can talk about was the actual launch, which was also hilarious when they did the crowd shot. Anyone watch that part?
You watched it?
I mean, not really. It was mostly just tail end of the actual unveiling where they pulled the cover off the car. And then you had people clapping like, yes, very good. And then you just had one guy sitting there like just completely unimpressed, arms crossed, did not care.
I was that guy watching it. Like,
Yeah.
Seeing the photos of it, that's my reaction in real life.
There you go.
So, you know what? Yeah.
So the other one we had was Williams.
Yep.
I actually kind of liked it. It looks good.
It's like the exact fucking same as last
Same
year.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's not. It's a little bit different.
No,
it's
agreed.
not the same.
It's not the same exactly, but it's like you evolved a Pikachu to a Raichu. It's kind of the same thing here. It's like,
okay,
it's still an electric rat. It's still a Williams. It's still blue. It's got a battery.
Rat.
It's the I just got a good TikTok idea. It's the scene from the interview. Different but same. Same but different.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to describe it.
True. That is absolutely a great way to
Listen,
describe it.
it's as similar as it was last year, but they at least changed it enough. And I can't say the same thing about Red Bull.
No, Red Bull just did copy paste.
Yeah.
I will say, okay, so here's a shout out to our social media on our Twitter account, but I think it was Sean, your individual account. My brother went on for days about how funny he thought your tweet was with the Red Bull livery.
The copy paste one?
Yeah, he was just like, it was just too good.
Yeah, and
it's too funny.
Yeah, and the best thing about so I think my tweet was like something like, "Can I be the Red Bull's livery designer? I also know how to cut and paste."
Yes.
It should have been copy paste, but I said cut paste. But like, it still worked. Like, I still fucked that tweet up.
It's the same thing. Like,
me an edit
cut
button,
and
damn it.
copy makes
I
the
know.
same diff.
I know. But yeah, it was
good.
Yeah.
But Red Bull is the same.
Yeah, the livery kind of was the burying of the lead in that one, I guess. Like it was all about the Ferrari, or not the Ferrari. Fuck, wrong F. Habit. It was all about the Ford.
Yeah, well, that's moving on to our other quick mention of the week is Ford is officially coming back to F1.
Sort of.
How do we feel about that? Okay, well, first off, this is coming from the guy who didn't believe it until he saw it.
Well, like, it's not even like they're coming back. It's still everything's being done by Red Bull. They just, Ford's like, hey, throw our name on it. You can badge it as us. Remember how everyone was getting Cadillac shit for coming in and being like, we want to badge something as a Cadillac for GM, for Andretti? Everyone dunking on that, yet everyone's cheering that Ford's back. It's like, okay, Ford. It's not really Ford. It's still Red Bull. Ford's just like, yeah, put our name on it. We'll give you money.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan, so...
It's the cheapest way Ford could enter F1. They said that themselves. And like, they're not even fully committing to an engine. They're like, we'll have someone else do all the actual development work. We'll just, yeah. I hope it fails. I actually do not like it. I hate it.
Yeah, I hope it fails too. I 100% agree with that.
What was the acronym someone used last week? Found on Road Dead?
Found on Road Dead. It is. Ford equals Found on Road Dead.
Yeah.
Well, but it's going to have the Red Bull. And if they get it right, I feel like it's going to be very much the one of two things of Found on Road Dead or First on Race Day. Could be either.
Ooh. Oh, what about Found Our Red Bull Dead?
Nah, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
We're really stretching this one here.
Yep.
Yeah,
anyhow.
okay, whatever.
Anyways, Ford back. Again, not really a surprise. GM said they were in, so Ford is automatically going to say they're in. So,
yeah.
Should have been
Well,
Porsche.
moving
Should have
on.
been Porsche.
yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, that was it.
So-
We had the Clash this weekend.
Did you actually watch it?
I did. The entire
okay.
thing.
You did.
And were you like many Twitter people?
It sucked.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
so you were like many Twitter people.
Okay, again, the issue with the Clash is that the Clash is supposed to be kind of like a fun kind of event, right? However, the problem is you couldn't run on the Daytona before the 500 because teams were cheating in terms of like getting extra development and understanding fuel mileage before other teams, so it was unfair. So we're going to put it on this tiny little oval in LA that no one's even going to show up to. That's one big problem. And
It looked empty.
it looked terrible. And then we're going to have way too many cars on way too small of a track. Just do 5 lap races. Like, the actual most fun part about the Clash was the heat races.
That's okay, so that's what everybody said. I didn't watch because I just don't I know I'm gonna be disappointed. And everyone said the heat races were actually good this year.
Yeah.
It was everything after that was like, I don't care anymore.
Fuck it. Have heat races and then go from the heat races into, like, knockout stage, right? Let's go heat races into other heat races into other heat races. Keep the cars on track small because they all stay together anyway.
Yep.
Like there was way too many fucking cars out there for the final race, and guys was tripping over each other. It wasn't really a good race. The issue was some guy who was actually fast would get shuffled out the outside, fall 15 spots back. Okay, he's done. So either stick with the heat format and do that, or go back to Daytona, run it on the road course, or run a modified oval through the pit lane up the trial banking. Do something different. But yeah, it was not a fun race.
Of 28,000 votes on Jeff Gluck's, he went back to Twitter for his was it a good race poll? 50% said it was a good race.
Oof.
But like, okay,
And I think
50% mean that like I'm torn because yes, the actual heats were really fun and very entertaining.
and that's where I think a lot of people landed. It was either yes, but the end races were bad, or no, but the heats were good.
Yeah.
Like it was very split of, if you had a third option of heats good, clash bad, that would be like maxed out to 100%.
And like Wiz Khalifa was there. He did a weird performance, like a sort of halftime show.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
weird. Odd.
Yeah, can we stop trying to have a halftime show with everything? Not everything needs a halftime show.
I know, like, leave it to the Super Bowl,
Yeah. Like,
which always has a halftime show and has had a halftime show for like as long as we can remember. Not everything needs to be this big old performance.
and like to be honest, the halftime show of the Super Bowl used to mean absolutely nothing. Like it
Now
was just, it was
means everything.
yeah. Well, it kind of exploded. Let's be honest, thanks to Justin Timberlake.
Yeah,
But it's true that really exploded the popularity of the halftime show.
Yeah.
it did. It did.
Because all of a sudden it wasn't just a sporting event; it became pop culture. And it was you had to watch the halftime show because who knows what's going to happen. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that is the truth of that situation.
Yeah.
But not every sport needs a halftime show. Especially like
No, I totally agree.
racing, you don't need it. Coke 600, get rid of it. No, they have like their little halfway. They have like a half. They have like four in the Coke 600. They have 4 stages, and halfway through it, they stop it and do like a.
That is
Memorial?
so weird.
But like, it's not a halftime show. It's like a memorial thing for like the troops on like because it's Memorial Day, or Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
So they do a weird like honor troop thing, but it's like you could have done that pre-show. And
Well,
let
yeah,
the
they could
event
do
go.
it pre.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to do it like before, recognize it, and then continue on with the event.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird, like, racing is not really a sport where you can just like kind of stop halfway and then do whatever you want, have a show in between. It just doesn't really flow that way.
No, the race flows.
Like, race
Let
is
the
a
race go.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't break it up with things that are unnecessary in the middle of it.
But yeah, thanks for coming out, Wiz Khalifa.
So is that all in the Clash?
Well, I was gonna say the
I
only
can
other
rip
thing
into
that
it forever, but
yeah, maybe one of the good things is we've got some early beef going on. At least Jeff Gluck has started a beef tracker for 2023.
tracker?
who
And he's
wasn't
got-
pissing who?
I don't know, but the ones he's got highlighted, I guess mostly because there was a lot more comments thrown out, was Chase Briscoe versus AJ Allmendinger, which like spiciness rating 3. They probably shouldn't be anywhere near each other.
Yeah.
Maybe on the road courses, but yeah. And then Kyle Busch versus Joey Logano.
I'm here to see that one.
Okay.
That one's better because I think if that 8 car can be as good as everyone thinks it is,
It had
that
pace.
could be there could be fights at the front for that.
However,
and that'll be fun.
one team that had a good pace, it looked like, was 2311.
Oh,
Is that Pitbull's
your
team?
favorite team.
No, it's
No.
Denny Hamlin.
That's
and
Team
Michael Jordan.
Trackhouse.
Yeah,
Oh,
Trackhouse.
okay, Sorry,
Trackhouse.
Trackhouse is Pitbull. 2311 is Michael
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Okay,
and
so
there's one thing we didn't talk about, like Legacy Autosport. Is it? That was the team that was formed out of the remnants of the Petty team, and that has the 43. I think it's the 43, 44, 42, one of the two, and the 84. That's the team that what is it? Jimmy Johnson's trying to make the 500 in, right? But there was a funny moment. I think it was in the heats. When the 43 got taken out, and Jimmy Johnson in the booth is like, oh, that's my car. Like, yep, welcome to being an owner. Yeah, you got to get used to that.
Oh man.
But yeah, they definitely were more rough this year than last year. They had no problem punting each other and taking each other out. The cars still look as stiff as ever.
I think that's what Denny Hamlin said after the race, is that you could, because he got punted at one point, and sort of like who wasn't pissed at who didn't get punted.
Well, you can punt guys through guys.
Yeah.
Like if you're the middle car, someone hit you in the back, and you basically basic physics, your car is fine. The guy in front of you takes all the energy, and he gets punted. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, but he took a hit in the back, and he's like, "Yeah, I could feel that in my neck." And I was like, "That's probably not a good place to be feeling it."
Yeah, definitely not. There's still work to do in those cars.
Yeah,
it'll be like 3 or 4 years until all the kinks are worked out in those cars. It happens in every other generations of NASCARs, really.
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll see. Fun news in terms of motorsports in Canada, because we have a new basically home for everything in motorsports.
Yeah, is it fun news though, or slightly annoying news?
We'll see.
Step in right direction.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
Okay.
So, for anyone not in Canada, or even anyone who doesn't know in Canada, TSN is one of 2 sport channels we have in Canada. You have Sportsnet and you have TSN. Sportsnet forever has held the IndyCar rights, while TSN has NASCAR and F1. So Sportsnet has kind of had the IndyCar rights because default. Like there was an issue a couple years ago when the IndyCar rights came up in Canada, and IndyCar just expected Sportsnet to pick it up, and Sportsnet kind of reluctantly did because it seemed like no one actually wanted it. And IndyCar was kind of like, oh, we just assumed you would still want this. And they're like, yeah, not really. So Sportsnet's kind of been dragging IndyCar along because it has to. Doesn't really want it. So finally, this year, it seems like TSN has picked up IndyCar. So TSN now has IndyCar, F1, NASCAR, which is nice because it has everything on one channel. And TSN really just has, what, golf in the summer?
Yeah, because baseball is all on.
Baseball's so
Sportsnet, right?
Toronto Blue Jays are owned by Rogers, who owns Sportsnet. So they just do baseball the entire time. So you don't.
They've got the CFL to compete against. So
I bet you IndyCar gets better ratings.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise.
Probably.
Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, IndyCar is a new home. It's at TSN.
Yeah. The tricky part
Which is good.
Yeah, the tricky parts will be navigating around the
new
similar race days, but so that'll mostly be NASCAR versus IndyCar. But I mean, they've got 5 channels up here, so it shouldn't be that hard. Plus, they have TSN Plus, which that's what half of the races are TSN Plus, which is like the online only.
And that's where the issue is.
Here's the thing, and this is what makes me annoyed, because half of the races are now going to be behind a paywall. And for the longest time, if you subscribe to Bell products, you were able to get online access to TSN for streaming. So now I guess TSN has figured out that they can make more money with making people get subscriptions for things to watch it full time. It's it's more frustrating because now you're paying extra for something that you're already paying for in your TV bill. So for like, it was just for the longest time, TSN was fine giving people online access, and now like to have half of the races on TSN Plus, it's very frustrating because now it's, if you're a super IndyCar fan and you want to watch every single one, they're basically forcing you to pay for something extra.
Yes. So the way the schedule is, 8 races are shown on regular TSN cable channel. 9 are going to be on TSN Plus. That's already better than Sportsnet had it. When Sportsnet had the rates, or the IndyCar races, 2 of them were on regular Sportsnet. I think the rest of them were on Sportsnet's like premium channel, I think 360 or whatever.
360.
Oh, Sportsnet Now?
No,
It's trash,
but
by the way.
not Sportsnet Now. Sportsnet Now is their online one, but it was all behind Sportsnet 360. So you couldn't, unless you had the premium Sportsnet package on your TV, you didn't get that channel. At least with TSN, you at least get all 5, so you will see IndyCar on your schedule. And you can come across that there. And just that alone means they're going to get better ratings than they did on Sportsnet.
True. I think it's frustrating from the, I guess because I pay for so many like subscription services in terms of sports. Like I pay for DAZN. I split for Sportsnet now. Like we pay for so much in Canada already that it's just that much more frustrating when TSN now is branching into this new thing, when for the longest time it's just been included if you have TV with Bell.
Depending on the cost, I may look into TSN Now or TSN Plus.
I would rather TSN Plus than Sportsnet Now. Sportsnet Now barely can work.
Yeah. Again,
it's a terrible app.
You pay for all this
most of the
stuff. I just call you a sucker. You find
but it's
other
hard
friends.
when things are behind paywalls.
Yeah, so you either yar it and sail the 7 seas, like me and Steven, mostly Steven,
True.
or do me and you find the friends, friends, who have the passwords, who give them to you, and then you use their login because they paid for it, or their family.
And honestly, so I'm just looking at the pricing. It is a lot better than the Sportsnet package.
Have they announced pricing? Oh.
What is it?
Well, the
I didn't even see
the pricing I see here is $16 a month versus it was what, like 30?
But do they have
for
an
Sportsnet?
annual? Yes,
Yeah.
30
Well,
for
that is the annual price. You can do $20 a month every month, or $16, or what works out to be $16 a month for the full year.
But what's the full year cost?
$200. And honestly,
Not
that's
bad.
not bad.
Yeah, Taylor,
That's
we could
actually
split that.
not bad. Oh, 100% we could split that.
So, I mean,
Okay.
if you're watching enough stuff up here, like, so if you're a big golf fan, you like
Mhm.
Sean, you would watch CFL,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
I'd watch
you'd
golf.
So there's golf, there's XFL. Actually, hang on. What am I doing? No free ads.
Yeah, this is a very niche conversation.
Yeah,
also,
no
though.
free ads.
Yeah.
Like,
so-
if you're not
Anyways.
in Canada, you will not care for all the other stuff
You
on
will
this
not
one.
care about that.
No.
However, I will say, it is always subject to change, right? Because so many are behind a paywall now. If IndyCar's ratings are a lot better than expected, maybe TSN will go, okay, we're actually going to put this on proper TSN.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Yeah,
You never know. IndyCar needs more ratings anyway, so at least this is a start.
exactly. So yeah, hopefully it all goes well, but we'll see. And I think it's really 2 races are behind paywalls because everything else is either TSN like cable or MSNBC, which we get up here anyway. So yeah, we'll get the races. It's okay. And I guess is that all we have then for news?
Yeah, that's all we have for quick mentions
That
and
is
breaking news.
Okay, so let's have some fun now. Okay, let's have some fun. And
One of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah, Steven, you could fucking smile when I say have some fun, you know?
No.
God, you're dead inside.
Oh,
Oh.
Steven, come on. The mortgage rates can't beat your soul that much.
They do.
Okay. Well.
Jesus. Oh God, I'm dying. Okay.
See,
I
that
could
brings
die.
a smile to my face.
I am cutting that.
Steven! That's your
Ah,
evil laugh right there. That is your
exactly.
evil laugh.
So, we are going to now be talking
Uh.
about racing movies, and I think ranking our top three.
Yeah.
Do you
So
wanna
I
go
think each of us can do top
1
three.
to 3 or
I think 3-1.
3 to 1? Okay.
3-1.
Individually, or I'll go
Sorry.
3 first.
Sorry, quickly before this just got announced. F1's extending their deal with Vegas through 2032.
They haven't even fucking raced.
I know.
Why?
But
Okay.
that's also not a surprise because I think just before this came out, was seeing rumors of, well, where was it? I think it was from Luke Smith, was saying that the county, I can't remember which county it is in the state of Nevada, was like, yeah, we're going to shut down the strip for like 10 years, which was past their 3-year contract for Vegas already. So, I mean, if they were already doing that, that's not really a surprise. But yeah, like, can we do one race there before we start extending stuff before we commit?
It's not
Well,
Russia.
Well, that's a low bar.
It's not. I know.
very-
I
Low
know.
bar.
I
That's a
know.
low bar.
Such a
There,
low
you're
bar.
telling me there's nowhere else where we could. Anyways, that's.
I
just-
feel
that's
like
just-
we will. Now that we know this, we're gonna hold on to this fun fact when Vegas comes, and I'm sure we'll have lots to say about this race.
I will forget that by that time that happens. I guarantee it.
I
Oh,
can't-
I will not.
I just can't wait for it to be Miami 2.0.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
All
anyway,
the hype
Um,
and
back to racing movies, Stephen, as you
Yeah.
happily railroad us.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
So, do you want to go 3? Start 3 and go to 1.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. What's everyone's third favorite racing movie? Who wants to go first?
Shoddy not.
Okay, fine. I'll make this pretty simple. Cars.
I had that too.
As your third?
Yeah, Cars is
Yeah.
definitely third.
Oh, I had a different one for 3.
Okay,
I had Cars as
Talladega
well.
Nights.
acceptable.
So in my top 3, like third is Talladega Nights. Okay. Are we going to explain our choices, or are we just going to do all
No,
3 and then
let-
explain?
Let's talk about our top 3. Let's go 2. What's everyone's number 2?
Cars.
Okay.
Okay.
I
I
went-
had Ford versus Ferrari.
I had Ford vs Ferrari as well.
I'm
Look
just gonna
at
have the
this.
same list.
Oh,
I mean,
God
I'm
damn
not
it,
be
Steven.
surprised.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Ah.
1.
Rush.
Rush.
Thank you.
Oh
Steven.
yeah, Rush.
Thank you, Steven.
All of us Rush. You guys are unbelievable.
And
What? It's a good movie.
I like how this is
At
all
least,
not even planned.
at
Uh,
least it wasn't Days of Thunder. I was so thankful none of you
No,
said that.
no,
Because that's
no.
a trash movie and we can all agree on that.
that's number 4. Duh.
No, it's not.
Oh,
There is way worse movies than Days of Thunder out there.
that is true.
Yeah, but Days of Thunder cannot be 4.
Actually,
They're a way better movie.
fair. I was gonna say, do I think Cars is good, or do I think Cars 3 is better?
Mm,
Cars
I
3
think
is really
stick
good.
stick with the original
Yeah,
Cars.
fine.
But the original is the best.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So yeah,
You
So
can
we
say it
can
as a
all
franchise
agree-
if you want.
we can all agree number 1 movie is Rush.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why is
100%.
that?
It's just so
Are
good.
we really? I was gonna say, are we really not gonna have a reason?
Honestly, like, no, I will say there's so many issues with Rush as well that I noticed so many times watching it that I don't care about.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like name something.
There are several shots in terms of the editing where like the color changes from like the actual shot of like the camera is to whatever filter they have over it. There's that.
Oh.
They have some issues like the track they're on isn't actually the track they're on. Like stuff
Okay,
like that.
that's
There's the
that's
one.
a minor.
There's the one terrible scene where Hunt and Lauda spin out for the first time, and it's terrible CGI.
Yes. Okay. So
Yes, okay.
couple things
But
on that.
despite
Minor
all of
edit-
that, the movie is fantastic.
I was gonna say
Yes.
the pushback you can give is minor editing on the filters.
Exactly.
2, how many location fees are you willing to pay for
Mhm.
minor shots on track? So, I mean, that's something you got to live with.
Yeah.
CGI, I mean, you're not going to actually crash cars, even with stunt doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can also talk about, like, in terms of historical accuracy, like, did they inflate the rivalry between Lauda and Hunt? 100% they did.
Is there some actual historical inconsistencies? Like, Hesketh didn't
Yes.
actually shut down and force Hunt to McLaren. They were still racing for a while, and then they went
Yeah.
back
Yes,
up. Like,
but
there's a lot of things that happened, and I think, like, the final thing with, like, Hunt needed third or fourth, I think, to make the thing. They changed whatever the heck he needed. Yeah, there's some inaccuracies.
It
But
is dramatized reality,
Exactly.
which makes it fun and more enjoyable, and doesn't make the
Yes.
movie a 4-hour documentary.
yes.
Yes. It's still a fantastic movie with, I think, one of the best scores I've heard for a movie.
Yes.
And, like, that's something I'm
It
very
is a very
nerdy
good
about.
score.
Like, if there's a good score in a film, you best know I'm going to be remembering for that. Because, like, if I get goosebumps just from the music alone, that's a good movie in my books.
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
out of 10.
Like, Rush, it's just so good, and it does a great job showing, I guess, the dangers of motorsports back in the 70s. The casting, I think, was it
A plus.
Daniel Brühl is a fantastic,
Yep.
and Chris Hemsworth is
Oh.
great. Like,
Yep.
and even like when
So good.
when Daniel Brühl's bandaged up as Lauda, I'm like, wow. When you compare the images of like him at the press conference, real life versus the movie, it's like they did a fantastic job in that department.
Yeah. They
So-
just went, yeah. It's honestly the movie that I watch when I'm, like, sad and depressed. I will watch Rush.
Rush is not the most accurate racing movie. It is very authentic.
It is.
Yes.
They do again. They do
It
a very good job
feels
of.
right.
They do a
Yes.
good job of dramatizing actual events.
Yes.
So again, the like little tiny details you change just to make it exciting for the average moviegoer. So, Sean, as someone who really gets into the history of motorsports, yes, you can pick those things out immediately.
Yeah.
That is not, and that's something fun you can do with this movie.
Yeah.
Like how, what's the Lord of the Rings fact that everyone loves to bring up?
Oh, well, he broke his phone to kick the damn helmet.
Exactly. This is your version of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
For the hardcore fan. For the average person, it's, you know what? This was just a lot of fun. Love having them race for a championship against each other. It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah. But I think Sean's point is I think draws to, like, what the best part about the movie is the fact that it just feels authentic, like, kind of historical accuracy be damned. It's just, you watch it and you just feel like that's what it was. Like, that's what happened. You can
Like-
feel the tension between Lauda and Hunt. You can just be in that world.
How do I
And
care?
that's what the best part is.
My camera's turned off. 1 second. Anyway, yes, continue.
Good job.
Yeah. That I think to me is why it definitely ranks as number 1 for the best racing movie of all time.
And Taylor, to your point of score, shocker, it's Hans Zimmer. So, I mean,
Okay, so I have no idea where the heck we were because it cut off. But yeah, Rush, it feels good. I was gonna say also in terms of, like, I guess the authentic feel of it, like the scene where Hunt beats up that reporter for asking Lauda that awful question, right? Of like his wife or
Yeah.
whatever. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where I think my favorite part of that, and this is the whole feel and authentic, right? Someone asked Hunt's son, "Did your dad actually do that?" And I think his response was, "I don't know, but I feel like he would." And that is exactly what that movie is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So number 1, definitely. We're gonna say Rush. Number 2. Now we can have the debate. There should really
Again,
be 2
let's-
answers here.
let's start with Cars because that was our common ground for within the top 3.
Yeah.
So, Taylor, you had it too. Why is it
I
number
did.
2?
Because it's just so heartwarming. And so I had actually not seen Cars until 2 years ago.
Wow.
So 2 years ago was the first time that I had seen Cars. and I fell in love with it. It's just so good. It's such a good story, and honestly, like, I just love Mater. I love him so much. And it's just about friendship and really, like, leaning on people and being okay with asking for help and just learning that lesson in life, because it's so important. People don't want to ask for help. And just for Lightning McQueen to realize that, like, he actually does need his friends and he does need support to be successful, like, that's just, it's so heartwarming, and I love him, and I totally regret not buying a Lightning McQueen when I was at Disney World. Big mistake.
I think I could agree with Cars being second best ever, mostly because it is a very successful franchise. It is a very good movie, good story. Like, typical Disney story, right? Really typical any kind of sport movie of, cocky young guy needs to be taught how to have a team and not rely all on himself. Wow, seen this before. Like, it's very typical, but, like, even the racing elements in it, like, it's, for someone who's not a race fan, it's easy to digest. For someone who is a race fan, it's pretty, like, it's pretty well done. Like, you kind of get the racing references, like the Piston Cup. Okay? Cars have piston, kind of fun, but also like, oh yeah, NASCAR used to have the Winston Cup. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Play on that nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
The fabulous Hudson Hornet was, as like Doc, that was actually like a thing back in the day. Like, there's so many little details like that, and even like the way Doc describes it, to have him turn in dirt, like cut it loose, break him wide open, turn right to go left, or turn left to go right.
Turn right to go
left. Yeah.
No.
Turn right to go left. Yeah. He tells him exactly the actual like thing you're actually supposed to do with the car, right? You're supposed to kind of have it get a little unstable going to the corner, then you turn against it and you ride it out. Yeah, like it makes sense. Like, there's so much good things in that movie. It is a very good race movie, and just a good sports movie, I guess.
I don't think I can add anything else to that.
Okay.
No, like that covers it pretty well.
Fair enough.
And it takes the usual hero arc, but at the end, it is also a kids movie. So
also, it's a race movie where like the number one, like the main character doesn't win.
Yeah.
Yep. And and like it's also part of that, right? Like that the main character doesn't win, but yet he does, because at the end of the movie, he wins the most important race.
His heart or some bullshit. I don't know.
Or friendship.
No,
I don't know.
It's friendship. Like, he has, like, at the end of the movie, he's got Sally and Mater, who, like, how could you not love Mater? He's just the best.
Though I will say, he could have won the race, done a lap, and pushed the king across the track and still had him finish the race. Just saying. I'm just saying.
But it's not as good as sacrificing a win for somebody else.
Yeah, Taylor's got a point there. And I want to put it in Rush, both main characters are winners. Especially the way the movie ends with them calling each other champ.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, both
good
are
point.
Winners. Cars, not a winner.
That's another reason.
But yeah. So we're all in agreement. So yeah, number 1 is Rush. Number 2, Cars. Number 3.
But you guys said 2
No,
for
we
you
had
was
Ford.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, but we're making our overall consensus here. Like, I agree. If we're talking overall consensus, like a master list, I'm not gonna let my own personal bias go against Ford versus Ferrari versus Cars. If you have it second, we have it third. I feel like in our own rankings, that bumps it into second. Right?
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So third best movie. I'll throw Ford versus Ferrari there.
Yep. If we're downgrading it from our personal 2 list, it's going in at number 3.
I do love that movie. Don't get me wrong. I do love that movie.
What would you throw instead?
Talladega Nights. Because it's such a iconic movie in the racing world. Like, everybody has seen Talladega Nights. I'm not certain, like, it doesn't have, like, Ford versus Ferrari to me doesn't have the memorability that Talladega Nights does. It's that classic pairing of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, I think, at like some of their best moments in terms of their comedy. And it's just, you can't go to any track without hearing if you're not first, you're last.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Culturally, culturally, if we're doing culturally, definitely Talladega Nights is number one. But this isn't about just the cultural impact. This is the best movie, best racing movie.
Talladega Nights is still a good movie. Like, it's a funny, comedic spin on NASCAR, which I think is kind of funny. So to me, it's number 3 because it's memorable in terms of the storyline. It's hilarious.
I will happily put it number 4. I will not put it number 3.
There you go.
Okay. Again, like, I'm not disagreeing that Ford versus Ferrari is a good movie. Like, it was really good and really well done, but it just didn't have that memorable effect that Talladega Nights does for me.
Ford versus Ferrari is a fantastic movie in the racing context because also it deals with the driver element of the driver and how the driver deals with everything with Ken Miles and all his story. It shows you the family of the driver and their struggles of a driver doing something or having a family member who's a driver who could die at any moment. Spoiler alert. That's how it ends.
History.
I know. And you also have the Carroll Shelby side, which is the corporate side of racing. You don't get that in any other movie, really. That corporate business side where it's not just showing up in a car and doing something like it's Ford wanting to go there as a big marketing push to beat Ferrari. They actually don't care who's in the car. They didn't want Ken Miles. He wasn't their pick, even though because he wasn't a good marketable guy. Like it's all those elements, and even like the racing scenes are really good, especially for dramatizing a Le Mans endurance race. That's hard to do when you don't even like pass the guy on track to win it. He just, his engine expires. Like you outlast them to win. And yet they did that in a dramatic way that was enticing to the audience. So yeah, it is a fantastic racing movie. Rebuttal, Taylor? Rebuttal? I'm sorry there's no...
It's not a memorable movie.
There's no...
To me...
If you ain't first, you're last bullshit. However...
Excuse me.
The line that actually stuck with me more in Ford vs. Ferrari was sometimes they don't get out of the car.
True.
And that is a great way of explaining, I feel like, the dangers and stuff in motorsports is sometimes they don't get out.
All right. So regardless of my personal third, I could say yes. In terms of overall, all right, you make a really good point. I think we could slate Ford versus Ferrari at 3.
Okay. 4. What do you guys have for 4? Also, how far do you guys want to go? 5, 10, 8?
5.
Let's just go 5.
How about 8? I want to keep going.
Okay.
Talladega Nights.
Sure. Anyways,
Talladega Nights
we just...
4?
Come on. It's so good. It's hilarious. Are you actually saying you don't like Talladega Nights?
Hear me out.
We will not be friends if you say that you do not like this movie. I will end our friendship right here.
Sean, what do you have it for?
Hear me out. Senna.
Okay.
Documentary on one of the best drivers, which is a little problematic and or cultural flick. Pick one.
I did not realize we were including
important.
Documentaries.
It's a movie.
Yeah, but like culture is still important in how a movie is translated in a top 5. Like there are so many people who would say Talladega Nights is one of the best. I think it's fair to leave it at number 4.
Okay. Are we saying it by cultural impact alone for Talladega Nights?
Movie! Steven, you weigh in.
Here's the thing. I did not include documentaries in my list of movies. Senna is if we are going to include it, yes, Senna is a very good documentary or movie. However you want to if you want to differentiate between the
Film?
two. Sure.
Okay.
Talladega Nights, I enjoy more as a comedy than an actual racing movie. Does that make sense?
Though. But it's still a racing movie. Like that's the whole
Yes.
thing. You know what I mean? Like but it is a comedy.
It is a comedy based around NASCAR.
NASCAR, and it's hilarious.
So, again, based on my criteria of doing this, I will put Talladega Nights 4.
Okay, fine. You guys can win. You can have Talladega Nights at 4.
Also, Sean, we quote that movie too goddamn much in our everyday life.
Yeah, I know we do.
I was
we
going
do.
to say, like, for two people who quote it so often, are you seriously fighting
if
me
it
on
was-
this?
Yeah,
If it was
I
based
mean-
solely on quotability, like Sean said, it would be first.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Fine,
cool.
fine.
Number 5.
This, I think, where everyone can have different answers here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mind goes to Cars 3. I know I just said Senna there,
Cars
but
3.
like, Cars 3 is a better movie.
Really good. The thing with the Senna documentary is, like, it is really good. However, like, it won't appeal to everyone because there are people who would refuse to watch it because they didn't like Senna as a driver.
That's fair.
Because he was an aggressive. It's the same thing as Schumacher. Like, they might be legends, but it doesn't appeal to everybody.
Also, can we put Drive to Survive in this list, actually?
No, that's a TV
No,
show.
it's not a film.
Okay.
Docu-series. Again,
That's
we
a
did not
docuseries.
flesh out what was acceptable because I left documentaries completely off. I
So
would have
did
thrown
I.
Schumacher on this list,
I wouldn't.
but
have,
I'm not
but-
going to go back and try and re-rank this.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole other thing about like racing documentaries because there are many.
Yes,
There are so many.
So
many.
Okay,
Save that
so
for
number
later then.
5. trying to think here of the ones I've seen.
Steven, what do you got while she's thinking?
Can I throw out Fast and Furious? Are we
No,
qualifying that?
stop.
No,
On
They're
track,
street
on
racing.
track
Stop.
racing movies.
the
This is
streets
not a
are
thing.
the track.
No, I refuse.
No, I will allow Fast and Furious on one condition.
What's that?
It is Tokyo Drift is the only one that's acceptable because that
Why
actually
Tokyo Drift?
because that's an actual form of motorsports. The
Okay.
the drifting
Okay.
and the what's it called? The race down the hill. Toge
Yeah,
or something
okay.
like that.
I
That
can't
form.
remember.
That is the only acceptable, but I'm no.
I
I
was
will
gonna
fight
It's
sort of.
not
I
fun.
had it put as like a package of the 3 because it was so loosely racing.
The first one's all
But-
about drag racing, about a drag racing event, and the third
Yeah.
one's about drifting. So like you could shoehorn it in there,
Yeah,
but no.
they're good movies.
There's a
They're
good
fun.
debate. Is Fast and Furious a racing
No,
movie?
it's not.
Ar-
Period.
you could argue the third one is, and that's the only one.
Yeah.
Or it's all a race against time to help family. I don't know.
Exactly. See, that's why I also cut it off at 3 because after that, it's just heist movies.
Yes, that's true.
So,
The second one was also a heist movie,
anywho,
kind of.
yeah, there was
second,
also
second
some
one was a buddy
there-
cop movie, actually.
Yes, it was more copish than racing, but there was still street racing.
Yes.
But anywho, fine. You know what? We'll omit it based off of the current criteria.
If you, I would argue 3 could be in there somewhere in the top 10 racing
Okay.
movies, but
Yes, but I think as a standalone, it won't
Yeah,
hold up.
that's
But
fair.
anywho,
Mhm.
we can put it as an honorable mention as a
that's fair.
racing movie. So
I
someone else
mean-
can slot in their number 5.
Are we at 4?
I would actually.
know.
No, we're at
No,
5.
Talladega
five?
Nights was 4.
Right, telling us 4. Yeah, so we're at 5.
I would agree with Sean. Cars 3.
Really? Took you that long to think of that?
Because I had to think of all the other ones that I've seen.
Cars 3 is the sequel Cars 2 should have been.
We don't want to talk about that.
No, we don't. It was terrible. Like Cars 3 had that kind of
Not good.
old guy leaving it in terms of Lightning McQueen, then teaching the next gen, and the whole going back to like the old dirt track, and had way more homage to actual racing culture than the first or second one did.
Oh, and agreed. And we can't forget that like racing legends were actually in the film. Like
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton voices himself.
Well, that was in Cars
Schumacher was
1
in-
and 1 and 2. Schumacher was in the first one.
No,
Yeah, it was.
Schumacher was in the first one, but Hamilton was in the third.
Yes,
Well, it was a mix depending on
depending on who.
the
Which-
language. Because
yeah.
wasn't it Signs did the Spanish version?
I think Sainz did
Oh,
Spanish.
probably.
I think Vettel did German. I think Alonso did. Was it Alonso in Spanish? I think it was Alonso in Spanish.
Either way,
But yeah,
there was a,
but
it
it's
was
like-
a
There's
mix of.
multiple. Yeah.
But it's cool to have that, right? Like somebody that's recognizable, like in the actual film in the motorsports world. So
Cars 1 had Daryl Cartrip. Come on. It's Daryl
Who?
Waltrip. Daryl Waltrip was the voice of Daryl Cartrip.
no idea.
Okay, well, it's because you don't like NASCAR.
Sorry,
It's okay.
it's
He's
because I don't like
He
NASCAR.
only was a old like forever NASCAR driver, and then became
Okay.
the most iconic commentator in NASCAR. Also,
All right.
he kind of
Okay,
went loopy
fair.
at the end, and he kind of got shuffled out of the booth. But like, Waltrip is still great.
Well, so are we in agreement? Cars 3, or Steven,
Yeah.
do you have a separate one?
Steven actually.
Nope, I'm good with Cars 3.
Okay. So we're gonna go. Those are top 5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any more honorable mentions for racing movies you want to put in there?
Days of Thunder.
Go fuck yourself.
Days of Thunder has some of the best on-screen actual racing.
It is
they
a
actually,
terrible movie.
but it's because they put actual cars in races to film it. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
But it's a terrible
On,
movie.
on track action, it is the best though.
It's a terrible movie, but yet so is Talladega Nights. Equally
I
iconic.
disagree.
Equally iconic and culturally
Oh.
relevant.
No,
So
false.
you definitely could
Not.
put it.
No.
Maybe for
This
us.
is-
Hit the pace
Stop.
car.
Yeah, hit the pace car. You want to hit the pace car? While you hit everything else out there. Robbins Racing. That's the most iconic line ever.
Building the car in a barn.
Yeah.
I just disagree with all of that.
I would
but sure.
I would happily put that at 6th.
Dick Trickle.
No, Cole Trickle. Dick Trickle's
At
the actual
6.
Trickle.
Dick Trickle's the actual driver.
Yes.
No. There's no way I'm moving on this. It is nope. It is a bad, terrible movie.
Like you could do like Le Mans, you could do like Grand Prix or something. You could do any of the what's it called? Documentaries like Senna, Schumacher, stuff like that. Williams, another good documentary.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Mhm.
I know it's hated on. I enjoy Driven. It's
Oh
a
my gosh.
terrible
Are
movie.
you
No.
serious?
No.
It's like one of the worst movies, like one of the biggest box office flops.
It's one of the worst
in
racing. It's
history.
one of the worst movies ever. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, watch.
But
it.
I know it's one of the biggest flops.
It's not, it was decently successful. It's just a really bad movie in terms of CGI,
Okay.
story. That's my challenge to you. I want you to watch Driven, please.
Okay. Well, I did mention to Peter that we were talking about racing movies, and he's like, "Oh, like," and he suggested, like, "What about Le Mans with Steve McQueen?" I was like, "Never seen it. Maybe we can watch it." And like, now we're gonna have to watch
It is a
Driven.
classic.
I've never seen it, so it's on my list, and I guess now Driven is too.
Like I would
I will live text.
I would argue Le Mans could be. Please, can you and Paige watch Driven and live tweet it together?
Oh my
That
gosh,
would be
sure.
that would be fun.
That would be amazing.
I mean, like we could give our review. I mean, her review would be so much more colorful than mine, I'm sure.
Just live tweet the entire thing. I want to see it, please.
Okay, sounds good. Will
Okay.
do. I will let her know.
Okay. So our we at least agree in the top 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rush, Cars, Ford vs Ferrari, Talladega Nights, Cars 3. Okay. Backing up. So those are our top 5.
Those are our top 5.
Okay, sounds great. Well, glad we came to that agreement for once in this podcast. And I think on that note, we should definitely end this. So thank you very much for listening to this podcast. And we'll be back next week. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Spare Parts Racing podcast. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and follow the show on Twitter at Spare Parts Racing. That's Spare Parts RACIN, and on TikTok at Spare Parts Pod. Follow the hosts at Sean Chavarella, at Stephen Clary, and at Tay Moore.